This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your girl Merle, and I don't know about you, but I have been feeling so far behind lately. So far behind that I feel like I need to find a way to manage my time better to help me stick to my goals. In these increasingly uncertain times, I'm trying really hard to keep myself healthy and active and inspired, but the news and the chaos can make that super, super difficult. So I've started asking myself, how can I help myself minimize the amount of time I spend worrying about what I'm gonna eat throughout the week? How can I fuel myself up for an inspiring, active, energized day? The answer this week is a nourishing, delicious, comforting breakfast that I can eat at home or on the go. I could literally eat this during my morning walk if I wanted to. So that's why today we're going to be making these protein-packed, freezer-friendly breakfast burritos. And you can make these once and enjoy them all week. Or you could double or triple the recipe and they can last up to 2 or 3 months in the freezer. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now, let me give it to you straight. One obstacle I find often with meal prep is that I get a little bit bored of eating the same thing every day. And I'm someone who I'm a repeater. I'm a repeat eater. So the really nice thing about these breakfast burritos is that once you make the base, you can kind of slap together whatever you want, like jazz. I'm gonna give you 2 different options today, but the possibilities are endless. So I would encourage you to get creative, use whatever you've got lying around in the fridge. This is also a great recipe to just use up stuff that's gonna go bad or stuff that you don't really know what to do with. The 2 flavors we're gonna be making today, tomato, bacon, pepper, and mushroom. And you can add onions too, but I'm not going to today. We're gonna marinate our scramble. I feel like tofu scrambles are personal to everyone. A lot of you at this point probably have your own go-to tofu scramble recipe, and I would encourage you to use it. Use what you already know you like. I'm gonna offer one to you today. You can take it, you can leave it, you can take parts of it, you can leave the rest. You can do what you want, okay? This is just it's like an outline, and you can fill it in however you want. Okay, so we're gonna basically make a batter with all of our seasonings and our plant-based milk. So in a bowl, you're gonna add a 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast, 2 teaspoons garlic powder, 2 teaspoons onion powder, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1/2 teaspoon of mustard powder. Now, the mustard powder is optional. Maybe it's too funky for you, I don't know. I like to add it in, but you don't have to. And then I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of black salt, also known as kala namak. That's gonna give it the sulfuric, eggy flavor. You can go without this ingredient, no problem, but if you want it to resemble eggs, then you add it in. 1 teaspoon smoked paprika. I'm gonna crack some black pepper in there, some red pepper flakes, and then salt to taste. So we're gonna mix all of this together, and I even had a chef's moment where I used my new mortar and pestle. If you guys watched my video where I ate like a professional chef for a day, first of all, you should watch that video because there's 3 excellent recipes in there. And second of all, you'll see that I am growing and evolving because I'm using a mortar and pestle to mix together my spices so they're more of a powder and better combined. Yeah. It's gonna come together into this nice little powder. Okay, so now we're gonna mix our wet ingredients together. So we're gonna have a cup of plant-based milk. I would recommend you use either oat milk or soy milk. I'm using soy milk because 1 cup of soy milk has 9 grams of protein in it, at least the one that I use. And in case you're wondering, I got it at Trader Joe's. Add in all of our dry seasonings, get that nice and smooth and creamy. It's gonna be a lot creamier because we used our mortar and pestle. We're gonna add in a couple teaspoons of miso paste. You may say no thanks, that's your prerogative. Do what you feel. I like it because it adds a little bit more of a bold flavor to it, more umami flavor to it. We're gonna add in 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. So I'm gonna mix that up. And now we're gonna deal with our tofu. So I've got a little bit of a strategy with the tofu. I like to get the high protein tofu from Trader Joe's and I like to freeze it. I usually will get 6, I'll freeze 3 of them and then I'll leave 3 of them in the fridge. For this recipe, I'm gonna be using 1 frozen block that's been thawed out and then 1 that has just been in the fridge. Extra firm. So I find that extra firm tofu works the best for these scrambles and for these burritos specifically. The reason I'm using 1 that's been frozen and 1 that was refrigerated is because I want 2 different textures. I find that it gives you a little bit more of a complex and even a little bit more of an eggy sensation in your mouth because the one that's been frozen, when you freeze it, all the water inside of it freezes together. So when it thaws, it just kind of falls out. You can almost wring it out like a sponge. It's kind of unbelievable. And it makes the tofu like a sponge where it can absorb marinades really, really well. So that's gonna have a tougher, more tender texture to it than the one that was just refrigerated. So we'll have a little bit of a fatty, soft texture, and then we'll have a bit more of a more tender, chewy texture. That's the way I like to do it. We're going to squish up both of them, ground them up so they're nice and crumbly into a big bowl. This can be kind of nice and relaxing too. So I'm trying to find the simple pleasures of life, one of which is squeezing tofu, it turns out, for me. Happy that that is one because I do it a lot. This can be a stress relief for you. You can picture someone's head that you just wanted to pop like a balloon. Again, really looking for happiness wherever I can find it these days. The high protein tofu has like 75 grams of protein each, which makes this 150 grams of protein right off the bat before we even add everything in. Okay, so now we're gonna pour our batter over our tofu and we're gonna mix that up so it's all evenly combined. That's the nice thing about adding our dry mix to our wet, is that this is gonna make it seep into our tofu more evenly, and it's gonna help it to absorb all the flavors and for the flavors to come together in a beautiful harmony. So it's a good idea. Now I'm gonna let her rest in the fridge for about an hour. You don't have to do that. If you're in a rush or you don't feel like it, you can just make it as you go. Like you can literally just mix it all in the pan. You don't have to marinate it. Dealer's choice. Next, we're gonna make our tempeh marinade. So grab another bowl and we're gonna add about 1/4 cup of low sodium soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, or a little more if you want it on the sweeter side, and then like a whisper, just a suggestion of cumin, and then just a little bit of liquid smoke to taste for that hickory smoky flavor. Then we're just gonna crumble our tempeh up in a bowl, crumble it up nice, and then we're gonna pour our marinade over that and we're gonna let that sit in the fridge. Okay, so while we're waiting, we can go ahead and start to prep the veggies. We're gonna take some mushrooms and we're gonna dice those up. We're gonna slice those up into little bits. We're gonna take 2 bell peppers. I did a red and a yellow one, just honestly for aesthetic because it would look nicer. Dice those up into teeny itty bitty little pieces. You can add your mushrooms right into a pan over some heat to let them sort of drain the water content they've got inside of them. And then once the mushrooms are all crisped up, I like to do it so they drain and they get crispy a little bit, and then take them out of the pan. Then we're gonna add in our bell peppers. We're gonna saute those up until they get a little crispy and they're cooked through. And you can add some salt and pepper if you want. You can add anything you want. And then we're gonna set those aside. Okay, so it's been about an hour for the tofu, and we're gonna go ahead and add our tofu into a pan. And I added a little bit of olive oil in there. And basically we're gonna cook this down so that a lot of the excess liquid evaporates and also just sort of combines into the tofu. I like mine a little bit crispy, just a little bit, not all of it. You don't want it to be dry. So get it to the texture and the consistency that you want, and then you can take it out. You might want to do this in a couple of shifts so it's not overcrowded in the pan. That's what I like to do. Once we've got our tofu to a place that we like it, I like to spread it out on a piece of parchment paper, like on a baking sheet, because that's gonna help it to cool down faster. It also makes it easier to divvy up the amounts into however many burritos you want. So you can also count how much protein you're getting. The more surface area you have, the quicker it's gonna cool down. Then I'm just gonna use the same pan, add a decent little glug of olive oil in there, and we're gonna put our tempeh in. This I definitely recommend doing in a few different shifts because I really wanna get my tempeh crisped up. And if it's too crowded, it's not going to get crispy. It's just not gonna be as good. You wanna get the tempeh to a place where like you're scraping the bits off and it's all coming together. You'll see what it looks like, but basically the bottom of that should be clean, a clean slate almost by the end of this, if you're doing it right. Now we're gonna wait for all of our fillings and everything to cool down. This shouldn't take more than 30 minutes to cool down to room temperature. Okay, it's assembly time. So we're going to assemble our burritos. Now I got these great flour tortillas from Sprouts that I really like. I don't even have to heat them up. They're nice and soft and they're pretty pliable. So it makes them really easy to wrap things with. They're not gonna tear. You can mix up different colored tortillas. You can do red ones, green ones, whatever. Just get your favorite ones. The ones that are the easiest to wrap things with, that aren't gonna make you pull your hair out, because wrapping stuff can be really anxiety inducing for me. But I found my dream tortillas, so I'm very happy about that. And you can get into the rhythm of how much of everything you wanna add. It really depends on the size of the wrap and how full you want it to be, and how high of a challenge you'd like to make for yourself. I'm adding some black beans in with the pepper and mushroom burritos as a nice little protein addition since we've got the tempeh in the other ones. But yeah, have at it. I always recommend adding a sauce. I think it's just how you're gonna crank it up to the next level. I just do a simple sriracha and mayo mixeroo for a lot of my wraps. If you want to get a little bit fancy, you could do something like adobo with mayo. If you want to add more protein, you could do sriracha or adobo with silken tofu. I mean, you can get creative with this. I love the sriracha sauce. That's what I'm gonna do right now for myself because it's just so simple and tastes good with everything. So once we wrap our burritos up, I'm going to then wrap them in parchment paper, and then I'm gonna wrap them again in aluminum foil. I know this is a lot of, maybe it could be seemingly wasteful, but it's really important to seal it all up and to make sure it stays pretty fresh and is easy to handle. And then you can label them, whatever you've got inside if you want to, or you can leave it a surprise. Surprises are nice. And then you can put them in a freezer safe bag and toss them in the freezer. Simple as that. So when it comes time to thaw your burritos, take them out, microwave them for like 3 to 4 minutes. And then I got this idea from The Burger Dude, and I think it's a great idea. Pan fry them a little bit on each side, just to let them heat up and let the tortilla come back to life. Okay, let's eat our spoils. This is the bacon tomato one. You know when you did something good? I did something really good. Oh my God, it's so good. The sauce is so good. The tempeh bacon is delicious. Honestly, I'm just grading my own food. I like the tempeh bacon one better. I think I would just add the tempeh to all of them in the future. This is still very good, but the tempeh is popping off. Honestly, I think I'd combine all of them all together. Maybe that's too many. Maybe that's too many. But that tempeh bacon is really, really good. It's hard to compete with bacon flavored anything. Yes, I'm so happy. If you had fun with me today, please like and subscribe. Thank you for being here. I hope you had fun. I hope you were inspired. Maybe, hopefully this makes your week a little bit easier. You can take a little bit of a load off. Hold on a second. Before I say it's a wrap, I would like to thank the sponsor of today's video. You already know who it is. They've been with me for years now. Squarespace. If you don't already know, Squarespace is the all-in-one website design platform designed to help you, yes, you, stand out and succeed online. Doesn't matter if you're just beginning your journey or if you're scaling your business. Squarespace gives you everything you need to claim your domain, which sounds really intense, showcase your work with a professional site, and get paid. Sometimes your content can just be scattered all over a whole host of different platforms, right? Which makes it even harder for people to find your work. With a website through Squarespace, you can make it easier to have all of your stuff in one central location, which just makes it easier to share what you create with your audience. Now, if you've ever wanted to sell your own products, like say maybe upcycled t-shirts with terrible burrito puns on them, I can see it now. I love guac and roll, been there, done that. You can have those for free, by the way. Squarespace has everything you need, whether it's digital downloads, physical items like those brilliant shirts, or online courses. You can manage inventory, accept payments, and create a seamless shopping experience for your customers, and all on one platform. Once your site is live, Squarespace email campaigns can help you stay connected with your audience, so you can schedule emails, promote new content, and keep people engaged. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and then when you're ready to launch, go to www.squarespace.com/MerleO'Neil for 10% off your first website or domain. Or you can click the link in my description. That's all for now. Thanks again, Squarespace. Back to the video. Let me know what you'd like to put in your own freezer-friendly burritos. I'd love new filling ideas, so throw them my way. Also new sauce ideas. Always open to that. Let me know anything else you'd like to see me do on this channel, and I will consider it. Ciao for now, y'all. Have a good one. Stay safe out there.